Hi, everybody. Welcome. We hadn't expected to be on a Zoom call quite so quickly after the end of the season with you all, but lovely to see you. Toto has joined us, and yeah, as per our usual procedure, if you can just pop question requests into the chat, we'll proceed like that. We will start in English and then switch over to German. Luigi, I can see you've raised your hand. Please put your question request in the chat, then I've got it in order. And so use that chat function and then we can go from there. So obviously you've all, I think, received the statement that we sent out today. So we'll just open the floor to questions from there. So if we'd like to begin, number one is Andrew Benson, please, from the BBC.
Thanks, Bradley. Toto, what do you expect from the FIA's review? What's the minimum you will accept? And what recourse do you have if they don't come through with what you want?
Expect the Commission to not only come up with words, but actually but with actions. And we will hold them accountable for the actions, because we cannot continue in a sport that is meant to be sport followed by entertainment and not the other way around, that we are held ransom by ad hoc decisions in every field, be it technical or sporting. And therefore, there needs to be clear measures in place before the start of the season, so every driver, every team, and the fans understand what's on and what is not on.
Next on to Scott Mitchell, please.
Thank you. Hi, Toto. You were widely believed to have had a very strong case for an appeal. I wondered, how close did you come to committing, and how difficult a choice was it to make?
Yes, indeed. We believe we had a very strong case. And if you look at it from the legal side, if it would have been judged in a regular court, it is almost guaranteed that we would have won. But the problem with the ICA is the way it's structured. The FIA can't really mark their own homework. And there's a difference between being right and obtaining justice. Yeah, so there is a lesson to be learned. How can we make sure that going forward, situations like that are being, that in situations like the right decisions are being taken. The verdict from steward corresponds to the regulations, and judgment in the courts, whether it is the ICA or the CAS, which is not currently part of the legislations, can be judged in a way that is fair and neutral to every participant.
Alan Baldwin next, please.
Hi, Toto. I just wondered, how much of a part did Lewis play in the decision not to go to appeal? I imagine he would be pushing quite hard for you to drop the appeal, not wanting to win a title in this manner.
Every step on the way, it was joint decisions. We decided together with Lewis to protest, to launch the appeal, and to withdraw the appeal. As you can imagine, not only for him, but also for us as a team, it was terrible to be confronted with a decision that decided the outcome of the World Championship. But nobody of us, neither him or us, want to win a World Championship in the courtroom. But on the other side, we were deeply wronged on Sunday, and it wasn't just a case of a bad call. It was freestyle reading of the rules and it left Lewis like a sitting duck. So, as hard as it was to withdraw the appeal, or let me word it differently, it was tremendously hard for him and for us as a team to withdraw the appeal because we were wronged. And we deeply believe that in Formula One, the pinnacle of motor racing, one of the most important sports in the world, justice is being done. So my soul and my heart cries with every bone that this should have been judged in the right way, and the legal situation would have given us right. But as I said to you before, the difference between being right and obtaining justice, or there's a difference between being right and obtaining justice.
Valentine next, please.
Good day, Toto. Do you consider this a one-off bad call or part of a wider problem? And in that vein, do you have confidence in the ability of Michael Masi to continue as Formula One race director?
It is a wider problem, because if you look at most of the controversies that have happened this year, it was about decisions, sporting decisions on the track, the inconsistency of the execution of the regulations on track. It's one thing to drive hard and to have difference of opinion among the drivers and among the teams. It is in the nature of the game, but inconsistent decision making leads to controversies, leads to polarization, and that was, as I said to you before, the ground for many of the totally unnecessary how can I say, totally unnecessary controversies on the track. How can it be that 14 months ago at the Eiffel Grand Prix, the explanation that was given was exactly the contrary to what has happened on Sunday? The explanation that was given, that the reason why a safety car was out there so long is that all cars need to unlap themselves, with the explanation that this is following the sporting regulations. 14 months ago, not only the decision has been taken in a totally opposite way, but there is an explanation is being made a 180-degree different to what happened 14 months ago.
Ian Parks next, please.
Thanks, Bradley. Hi, Toto. I'm just going to follow up on that. Have you had any conversation with Michael over the past few days? And just to reiterate Keith's question, do you have faith in him to continue
decisions on the track?
Do you have any faith in him to continue as FIA race director, or does he need help in his position, like Charlie had help with Herbie Blash, for argument's sake?
I'm not interested to having a conversation with Michael Masi. What he has, the decisions that have been taken in the last 4 minutes of this race have dropped Lewis Hamilton of a deserved world championship. His driving in the last 4 races, particularly in the last 4 races, was faultless. He had a commanding lead on Sunday in Abu Dhabi from the get-go. He won the start and he never gave the lead away again. And robbing him in the last lap of the race is unacceptable. That's why, from a personal standpoint, from a professional standpoint, I cannot my values, my sense of integrity just isn't compatible to the decisions that have been made on Sunday. And it is up to the FIA to decide going forward how these decisions, how these situations can be avoided. I would have been totally okay with Max and Red Bull winning the championship on Sunday. And this situation has nothing to do with Max. He is a worthy champion. His driving is exceptional. And Red Bull are fierce competitor. And I have the greatest respect of the people working there. So it has nothing to do with them. But I would have loved to sit here with and avoided all these discussions and the damage that has been done to the sport by just integer and sporting and fair decision making on Sunday. So the FIA needs to decide how they're going forward. I find it. We had a good dialogue with the FIA over the last few days. The commission that it set in place, I have trust and faith that we will formulate together with all competitors, the drivers and the other teams, the right decisions and actions to avoid such a scenario in the future.
Julien Billiot, next, please.
Thanks, Bradley. Hi, Toto. Toto, do you think, like other drivers, that what happened in Abu Dhabi was done on purpose and just for the show, with maybe F1 bosses putting pressure indirectly on Messi to set up a grand finish? And just more generally, has Formula One just become a big Netflix series, but in real life, with showrunners and producers and fake intrigue?
I would never want to put such thing in, and I would never, how can I say, I would never say such thing, because at the end, we provide entertainment, but entertainment needs to follow sport, not the other way around. And the rules are the rules. The consistency of the application of the rules is important. And no decision-making should ever happen contrary to the rules, just to spice up the action. We love Netflix and Drive to Survive. Stefano Domenicali is doing a phenomenal job in marketing the sport. And Stefano, as a true racer, would have no interest in interfering into racing just for the entertainment factor. So I cannot judge the pressures of the race director, but in any case, we are so credible as a sport because it is sport and it is not wrestling. No questions anymore? Andrew has the hand up.
Toto, can I, if I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, apologies. My connection just went down briefly, but I think we're Johnny's next on the list after Julien.
Yeah, okay. Toto, what gives you faith that the FIA will own up to its errors and make the changes needed? Because last night they blamed the fans, team and media for misunderstanding the situation. And the last time there was a major investigation inside the FIA regarding the Ferrari engine, it ended up in a secret deal that nobody knew really what had happened.
I think in the day and age, of transparency, such decisions cannot be made anymore in backroom deals. And why I am optimistic is that most stakeholders in the sport will share my frustration on the decisions that have been made all throughout the year. And everyone who is a racer, you guys, us, knows what happened. So nevertheless, I have confidence because we will be all pulling on the same rope in the same direction, the teams. And I've had feedback from the teams and from the drivers. I had assurances from Peter Bayer and Stefano that in the next weeks and months, we will close the gaps that have opened up more and more over the last few years. Bradley's going down again.
Jan van der Berg.
Yeah, thank you. Toto, first of all, congratulations on winning the Constructors' Championship. You said you held constructive talks with both the FIA and Formula One. Did they at some point show any hesitation on whether or not the right calls were made during that season finale? Thank you.
I think it is very difficult in such a situation to compromise your legal position. And I think the FIA, it wasn't clear whether we would go all the way with the appeal, and therefore you cannot expect any admission. I think they have taken the right step. The president has convinced the World Motorsport Council to set this commission in place to look at the incidents of the Abu Dhabi race and to avoid any such situation going forward. And all of us welcome that decision. I don't think it was easy. The statement of the FIA is probably when you understand the nature of the governing body is a strong and robust one. Obviously, as a racer, you would wish full admission, but that is not possible at that stage. So I think we have taken a step in the right direction. It's a modest step, considering the magnitude of the failures on Sunday night. A better modest step than none.
Thank you.
Adam Cooper next, please.
Hi, Toto. A lot of people, including Ross Brawn, have been a bit uncomfortable about the way you and Christian have been talking to Michael during races, and obviously it got a bit heated towards the end on Sunday. What would you think about well, first of all, is that something you routinely did in the past, even in the Charlie days, and we've only just become aware of it, or has it escalated because it's been on TV and you've been responding to Christian? And what would you think of a ruling that would restrict radio chat to the sporting directors?
I agree with Ross, but I equally blame Ross and myself because we have been part of the decision making to broadcast more of the channels for the purpose of transparency and entertainment for the fans. There is so much going on the intercom that giving fans a little bit of an overview that of all the little dramas that happen. Is the car breaking down? Are we having some kind of strategy discussions? Was meant well, but I think we overshot. And I need to take myself by the nose. And Christian, we were giving us the opportunity to talk to the race director directly, and because we fight so fiercely for the interest of our teams, all of us overstepped. And this certainly was part of the failures this year, that under pressure from the team principals also, the race director's life wasn't made easier, certainly. So we need to come back. I think the team principal shouldn't speak directly to the race director. It should be the sporting directors. I would even go one step further. I don't think that the sporting directors should be lobbying the race director or exercising pressure. I think they should be pointing to situations that they might have not spotted, that the race director or his colleagues might have not spotted, but not lobby, not pressurize.
Louis, next please. Is that Louis Decker?
Yeah, that's right. Hi, Toto. Short question. In hindsight, should the race have been red flagged?
I think there was there's clear regulations, and the regulations say if there's risk for the safety of the drivers, and the car cannot be removed quickly, then a race should be red flagged. If you decide to deploy the safety car, there's also clear regulations in place. And the regulations are that all cars need to unlap themselves before the race can be restarted. And only in the following lap, once all cars have unlapped themselves, the safety car may come in. None of that happened. None of that happened. Randomly, cars were allowed to overtake or to unlap themselves. Why was Carlos Sainz not given the opportunity to win the race? Why were the cars left in between there? Why was the safety car pulled in against what the regulations say? So the ad hoc decision making just caused this mayhem. So yeah, there was a variety of possible actions that would have followed the rules.
Apologies. Next one, I think Luigi, you said that your question has been covered. So Craig Slater next, please.
Thank you. I want to ask Toto, how will Lewis absorb what's happened over the coming months? And do you have any concerns that he may become disillusioned with the sport? And is there any danger he may not see out the 2 years he's committed to with Mercedes?
Lewis and I are disillusioned at the moment. We're not disillusioned of the sport. We love the sport with every bone in our body, and we love it because because the stopwatch never lies. But if we break that fundamental principle of sporting fairness and authenticity of the sport, that suddenly the stopwatch doesn't become relevant anymore because we are exposed to random decision making, that is clear that you may fall out of love with that you start to question if all the work that you have been putting in, all the sweat, tears, and blood can actually be demonstrated in terms of bringing the best of possible performances on track, because it can be taken away randomly. So it's going to take a long time for us to digest what has happened on Sunday. I don't think we will ever come over it. That's not possible. And certainly not him as a driver. I would very much hope that the two of us and the rest of the team, we can work through the events. We can, with the FIA together and with F1, utilize the situation to improve the sport going forward. But he will never overcome the pain and the distress that was caused on Sunday. To be honest, I still today, I can't even understand what was happening. I'm in disbelief For me, it still feels surreal. And when I rethink the situation, that at 1827 the right decision was being taken, that no cars will unlap themselves, and 4 minutes later, out of nowhere, suddenly 5 cars were allowed to unlap themselves between Lewis and Max. And 10 seconds later, the decision was taken that the safety car would come in this lap with a handful of laps only left. To be honest, for me, that still seems like a nightmare. And that's why I was in total disbelief on Sunday, and I'm still until today.
Christian Hugo next, please.
Toto, just to follow up on Craig's question, is there any doubt in your mind whether Lewis will be back in the car next season? Because that didn't sound like you're 100% sure that he'll be back racing for you guys next season. And are you guys okay? It must be on a human level really difficult to lose a championship like that and come to terms with it in the days afterwards.
From a human level, it's extremely difficult because it is so disappointing. As I said before, we love this sport, and suddenly you're starting to question. I mean, you must never lose the big context of life. This is just Formula One. It's just a sport. Much worse things happened out there, and we shouldn't fall in the trap of thinking this is the most important thing in the world. But it's our little microcosmos, and it's a microcosmos that we have been part of, where we have created values and beliefs, and many of those values and beliefs were kicked on Sunday. So I would very much hope that Lewis continues racing, because he's the greatest driver of all times. When you look at it from the point of view of the last 4 races, he dominated on Sunday. There was not even a doubt who won the race. And that was worthy of winning the World Championship. So we will be working through the events over the next weeks and months. And I think as a racer, his heart will say, I need to continue, because he's at the peak of his game. But we have to overcome the pain that was caused upon him on Sunday, also because he is a man with clear values, and difficult to understand that happened.
Tom Carey next, please.
Hi, Toto. Yeah, you very much hope that Lewis will continue. That sounds as if he hasn't given you any assurances that he will. And probably following up from that, I'm guessing that he won't be attending tonight's gala at the FIA prize giving. And do you expect any repercussions from the FIA for that? I believe it's part of the regs that he does need to attend. And will you be there?
No, both of us won't be there. And I won't be there because of my loyalty to Lewis and because of my own personal integrity. But we will be represented as a team by James Allison, who will be taking the trophy on behalf of all the people in Brackley and Brixworth who should celebrate our 8th consecutive World Championship title, who deserve to be celebrated because it's a fantastic achievement that we are very proud of. And in a way, I'm trying to compartmentalize the anger on the outcome of the Formula One driver championship, World Championship, and on the other side, the pride and the joy of having achieved something unprecedented. And that needs to be celebrated.
Samagini next, please.
Hi, Toto. What are your sponsors, your commercial partners saying, and Ineos as a new investor into Mercedes and this sport?
I'm so proud of the support that our sponsors and partners have given us over the last few days. They've been with us all way long. The messages that I have received personally from sponsors, from fans, from very credible people made me very happy. And the sponsors have trusted us to come up with a decision in relation to the appeal, and would have gone with us all the way.
Ted Kravitz next, please.
Thank you very much, Bradley. Toto, congratulations to you and all the team on an 8th in a row. It's unprecedented. It's never been done. I'm only sorry you couldn't celebrate it on Sunday, but I still don't really get it, and I don't think many of our viewers and our readers will get it either. You're not rowing back from anything. In fact, you're coming down even stronger today. Neither you nor Lewis are going to the FIA gala. Many of the fans, not only Lewis Hamilton fans, but also fans of Formula One, are extremely disappointed that you're not pursuing this. It looks like a sort of cozy deal. They don't understand what happened in those 4 minutes between 1827 and 1831 when the race director either changed his mind or somebody changed his mind for him. Couldn't you have just pursued the legal case with your QC? Couldn't you have said, look, we're not going to affect the outcome of the World Championship. Max can still pick up his trophy, but we want to pursue the legal case. Doesn't it look like you're sort of copping out for some reason?
I can understand the frustrations of many, and to be honest, I have the same. I'm also in two minds all the time between my perspective and my judgment on the legal position and my realism about the outcome of such proceedings. As I said before, there's a difference between being right and obtaining justice. And I don't think that at the moment we are set up in terms of our governance to end up in a situation that would have given us remedy, that would have reinstalled a result that was taken away from Lewis before the last lap of the race. And that's why, heavy-hearted, we have decided not to appeal, because we wouldn't have gotten the result back. Now, I think we have the right tools in hand to make sure that the decision-making going forward is better. And we will be holding the FIA and the decision makers accountable for making the sport more robust and the decision-making more robust and more consistent.
I'm going to Lawrence Edmondson next, please. Lawrence? Okay, no worries. Then we'll jump over to Ben Hunt next, please.
Hi, Toto. Just getting back on the Lewis subject. Are you in daily dialogue with him? What's his current mood at the moment? Obviously, he's frustrated. How do you ensure that he doesn't turn his back on the sport? Obviously, he had the situation with Nico, totally different scenario, but of course, him walking out a couple of days after the championship win. But how do you convince him to stay?
I'm in a daily dialogue with him, but also respect that there is not a lot to talk at the moment. Each of us copes in their own way with the feelings that we have at the moment. And I just need to do the utmost that I can to help him to overcome these imminent feelings that he has, in order for him to return stronger, or to return strong with a love of the sport and trust in the decision-making of the sport next year. And
Okay.
we all wish very much that this would be the case.
Great. And then final question, please, in English to Fred Ferry.
Hello, Toto. Could naming a new race director could be a solution to make you trust more in the FIA decision?
Fred, it's not only a decision to change the race director. The whole system of decision making needs to be improved. As I said before, I think that the race director is certainly under big pressure, and some of that is due to our own faults. I would have wished a more consistent decision making that could have avoided many of the controversies throughout the year, but the last one was just a decision that had the biggest impact. And in sporting, from a sporting perspective, a catastrophic impact, because it decided the World Championship. But now you can say all season went back and forth, and we were on the receiving end sometimes, and sometimes we were more lucky. But I have confidence that together, all of us together, the teams, the drivers, the FA, and the sport, can revamp the way decisions are being making and make the sport stronger. I think these situations, as painful as they are also an opportunity to make the sport, to better the sport.